If music be the food of love, play on. Through a system that's synchronized to a master clock.
I think Phil's been to Shakespeare's Globe Theatre recently, or perhaps he knows someone who did. Anyway, the question is, trying not to be tempted by any more Shakespeare references, whether you need a master clock, whether you want one, or whether you wouldn't notice the difference. I'm going to try and stay neutral, but it might be difficult. I am, by the way, working with the S.M.S.L G1 master clock, a link for which you'll find in the description. I'll be demonstrating it, well, at least as much as I can around copyright restrictions, in a follow-up video. I'll be sourcing from the S.M.S.L PL200 T CD transport into the also S.M.S.L D200 DAC. I'll put all those links in the description so you're well prepared. Let's start with some valid reasons why you, as a hi-fi enthusiast, might want a master clock. Or maybe first tell you what on earth a master clock is. No, you know that already, or you wouldn't be here. So why might you need or want one for your system? Here's what Grok thinks. You have a pause button, or you can ask Grok yourself. It seems like a lot, a whole scary lot, and any hi-fi enthusiast in their right mind would either panic or reach for the gin. I'd like to break this down, but I feel I can only chip away at the edges. In this list, I see only one case where the lack of a master clock would cause no sound, and that's where the DAC won't sync to an embedded clock. Oh, the price I see today for the Prism ADA8XR is 8,398 GBP. And the Lavery, I'm not sure which exact model Grok's referring to, but I see one at 9,869 GBP and 94 pence. In stock too. I don't think many of my viewers will be in that zone. I'm certainly not. Now, the other issues. You can have any of these and still hear audio. But then there are two questions. The first of which would be, can you hear any degradations, noise, distortion, frequency response, imaging issues? Well, yes, I can see opportunities for degradation in this list. Probably the one that's most concerning to hi-fi enthusiasts is jitter, which is, or is caused by, instability in the clock. You know, one of these days I'm going to make a whole video about jitter, and I'm going to devise a test where you can hear it clearly, either in the video itself or a wave download that I'll link. I suspect I will need a rusty old CD player and a very long SP diff cable, the cable preferably having been wintered outside. To be honest, I don't know yet what lengths I'd have to go to make jitter easily audible. Of course, audiophiles can hear jitter in gravity waves emanating from the heart of the universe. But seriously, if you'd like to suggest how I should conduct my jitter experiment, I'd love to hear what you think. To pick another one from the list, clock domain isolation in stacked digital processors, which may lead to buffer overruns causing audible glitching. I have a story here that I don't remember too well, but it was a broadcast audio manufacturer, maybe around 1990 or so, that made a box that would take an external digital feed into a studio with its own master clock. The problem being that it's hard to sync a digital signal coming maybe from a satellite to a local clock. The gist that I seem to remember is that every so often the buffer would overrun and there would be a glitch, and I think it was the case that it was the box's job to reclock the incoming signal and cover up any glitch that happened along. I think, therefore, that this is a real issue. Broadcast boffins, please feel free to expand on what I've just said. Or tell me that it's a load of nonsense, but I don't think it is. Another of Grok's issues is one that I like because it's easy enough to understand and would explain one cause of audiophile woes, which is inadequate staging. So here we have dual mono DAC topologies requiring hard-locked L/R channels. Or as I might put it, if you have one DAC for the left, another one for the right, and they're not synced to the same clock, you'll have phase problems, leading to issues with imaging and staging. Are we having fun yet? Okay, I'm going to change tack completely. My view is that I don't think my ancient ears are ever going to hear any of these problems. Certainly not to a point where it would affect my listening enjoyment. So I'm going to assume that digital audio equipment in the home is perfectly adequate as it is, clockwise. But what if this is so? What if there are no issues with clocking that a typical enthusiast would hear? Well, not just in audio, but in many aspects of life. There are things that don't really matter all that much, but they're either right or they're not right. Not right meaning not exactly wrong, but not exactly right either. The example I'll give is speaker cables. Let's assume you have nice fat copper cables. You have a stereo power amp, and for convenience it's closer to one speaker than the other. So your speaker cables are different lengths. For me, this is not right. I know, I've run the calculations for a home setup. There's a slight loss of damping factor, slight loss of power, but absolutely nothing I could ever hear. But it's not right. Speaker cables should be the same length. Comment me. So you have your jittery CD transport and your jittery DAC, your jittery whatever else perhaps. All that jitter's going to add up. Wouldn't it be nice to know that everything's running from the same clock, singing from the same hymn sheet? Surely it's the difference between right and not right, as long, of course, that your master clock is adequately jitter-free itself. If the comments aren't buzzing already, I'm sure they soon will be. But I'll go back to my list of potential issues. And perhaps it isn't exhaustive. I've reviewed a few DACs over the last couple of years, a few CD players and a transport. I'd be testing my memory here, but I don't remember any of them having a specification for the accuracy of their clock. And they all have one. A clock, I mean, not just the spec. Anyway, I'm going to give you a spec. It's for the S.M.S.L G1 master clock. It has an oven-controlled crystal oscillator. I'm not sure whether that's a spec or a feature. Crystal oscillator, well, unless we're measuring the behaviour of electrons in rubidium atoms, just about all clocks are crystal. Well, maybe not the Rolex on your wrist that indicates you're a mid-level audiophile. But the special thing here is that it's oven-controlled. Yes, an oven, like you cook your roast chicken in, but smaller. This reminds me of the old days of analog synthesizers, where the oscillators were notably drifty. Not just the A440, but the frequency spacing between notes, like an octave not being an exact octave. The fix? Put the oscillator in an oven. I don't think it was mainstream because there were other solutions, but I definitely remember it being talked about. Commenters with long memories, your turn. Moving on, we have a clock accuracy of better than plus or minus 3 parts per billion. Thanks to the oven, to some extent, no doubt. This interests me because in a recent video linked below, I talked about inaccuracies in the clock frequencies of DACs, leading to 2 segments of audio that should have been absolutely identical, being of different durations. A matter of some 30 or so milliseconds apart over 10 minutes. This isn't jitter, of course, but long-term accuracy. Jitter is short-term. One would presume different pitches too, but although it seemed to me to be a sizable error, more than I would have casually expected, I doubt it would disturb many people in practice. Still, if I can have accuracy to 1 second in 10 years, which this clock claims to have, I want it. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to follow up this video with a hands-on experience of the S.M.S.L G1 master clock. I really won't be able to give you a convincing demonstration over the internet through your own dodgy, non-master clocked DAC, but I'll try and give you a flavour of what it's like to have a master clock in your home. Do you want one yet? See you soon.
And some have greatness thrust upon them.